Welcome Virgo, it's September 2017. Look, over here, the sun has returned. This is why they call it the solar return, to your sun sign. And that is usually attended with an upliftment of your personal affairs, your physical health, also your popularity. But do note over here the opposition to Neptune. That's unavoidable, and the sun will move through this sector every year, September, August, September, and we said that because Neptune is such a slow-moving planet, this time of the year, over the next few years anyhow, you're going to have some issues to deal with here in your relationships. Of course, the big thing was the eclipse last month, where we see that you do have this 12th house being strongly triggered, not just with the planets Venus, Rahu, the North Node, Mars and Mercury, which is retrograde, your ruler, showing a lot more energy going into yourself. So this opposition here shows me this month may be a tug of war internally between giving of your time and your resources to the person you love and actually giving time and resources to yourself. We mentioned last month the eclipse would trigger some really, really big spiritual outpouring here. This is a segment in the zodiac that relates to generosity, charity, and spiritual awareness. This also too, Neptune is the natural ruler of spirituality, but maybe some inner conflict between self and other. Let's take a look at the movement of these planets here, especially with the moon starting in your 5th house of love affairs, in that conjunction with Pluto around the 2nd, well, actually leading up to the 2nd. So it starts as the month commences. This is also an intense creative spurt that is normally indicated by a conjunction of these two planets in this area of the zodiac. Also empowered by the sun here. Do you see this little triangle here? This is the triangular, what we call a trine aspect between the sun, your 12th lord, again the spiritual ruler, and this 5th house. So you can find solace and satisfaction in doing creative things in the quietude of your own company, not so much socializing, at least in the first part of the month here, especially while these planets are together in the creative area. It moves into your 6th house, which is your natural house, being naturally ruled by Virgo. So this is all about around the 4th and the 5th, looking after your health. So it starts off looking after your spiritual well-being, looking after your health. And here there could be some challenges. As you see here again, this cluster of planets is not letting you out of its grip. Moon in the 6th house, along with the South Node here, going back into the past, trying to figure out what it is that's made you who you are and eliminating those things that are unnecessary. On the 5th, you see Moon moving back into that conjunction with Neptune here in the 7th house of relationships. This will trigger this earlier aspect that I mentioned. So you're not getting away from that. And also because Mars has snuck into your sun sign and is in the opposition around the 5th and 6th, then that could be a very reactive time for you. And also when Neptune is involved, you've got to be careful of the foods you eat and also the pharmaceuticals you take, the meds. There could be some allergic reactions, not just the things you take, maybe the environment that you're in as well could be affecting you. That could be, as we saw earlier, the work environment. Chemicals, detergents, soaps, even perfumes I used to find with me would give me a really bad headache. So be careful of that. And you're one of the signs of the zodiac that's very sensitive to that type of stuff. Let's take a look here at, again, the movement with the Mars and Sun moving here into this area of the zodiac. It's going to energize you even more. But Mars is not a particularly friendly planet. And I would say to you, especially when we have the right angles to this or the oppositions, which we saw earlier, that's a bit of a danger time, but it's getting strength here around the 8th and 9th. And then unexpected things in the 8th house, which is shared resources as the moon contacts Uranus here, financial issues, waste and expenditure shown by the opposition to Jupiter here in your 2nd house. And then I'm looking for this square, which tells me you must be a little bit careful. Here it is here. Let's have a look here. As it moves into Gemini up here, there you go. So around this time, Virgo, we see after the 12th this square aspect. See the red square here between the moon and Mars. Now this is going to be more important for those of you that are working in some industrial capacity, engineers, electricians, because we see the moon here in your 10th house, which is your profession, in the right angle here to Mars. Mercury and Mars can also show injury through your speech. You're a highly critical star sign. You know that, I know that, we all know that. But also injury to yourself through being critical of yourself. It's time for you to maybe be a little bit more gentle. I've said this in the past to you, and try to see those parts of your personality that are positive, upbeat traits. There's another square there. Look at that. That's a bit of a cross. That's one that's a problem too, and that might relate back to what I mentioned about the pharmaceutical stuff here. You've got the square to Neptune at the same time. That passing square to Mars, maybe a little bit earlier than that, the 11th, might be a critical time there. And that's also problematic, producing some sort of confusion in your workplace with your employers. It's a better time when it moves here into this 11th house, as it does after the 14th. You can see there that creates a sextile aspect to these planets in the earlier part, around the 14th. And there's a triangular aspect down here to the 3rd house of communications. So having fun, talking, sharing ideas is good. You see here the moon moves back into this 12th house, triggering again a little bit more me time. But what I'm interested in here for you is the transit of Venus out of this 12th house into your sun sign around the 20th. And at the same time, straight after that, around the 20th, 21st, the new moon that is going to occur in your sun sign. So let me talk a little bit about that as being an important self-determinant and a way for you to maybe change your brand, if I could put it that way. This is where you may be a little bit tired of yourself. Look again here. You seem to have all of these planets clustering now. They move, that cluster moved out of this 12th house of self-reflection into this 1st house of projection. This is one of the houses of the ego, where you will definitely be putting your best foot forward. And you can see here with Mercury moving now towards the 15th degree of the zodiac. It's the most powerful part of the zodiac, at least in the sidereal zodiac, but we know your ruling planet in your sun sign is powerful to give you great communication, successful opportunities, especially here. Moon makes contact with Jupiter in your 2nd house in trine to past node. You've done something good in the past, so you're going to have some income coming in. This is great for your income and your pay pack. So you can look forward to that in the last part of the month. More negotiations here as it passes through the 3rd house. Again, that square aspect is a bit of a problem here. With debts, seems like you might be earning the money and then spending it immediately. Don't do that. 4th house could be a bit of a problem as Moon moves into this conjunction with Saturn here, and we see that happening around the 26th, towards the end of the month. Don't let them get you down. Again, too much talk is going to exacerbate the problem, as seen by the square aspect here to your ruler. The 5th house is really intense and competitive, and when the Moon moves through that sector at the very end of the month, 28th and the 29th, that really transformative conjunction, along with favourable supporting aspects here from your sun sign, Venus, Mars, Mercury, lots of opportunities. Creatively, you're going to feel great. There could be some love and sex involved in that too. Hey. And then in the 30th, back to the grind. Oh, well, at least you had a bit of a break. Back to the grind, with the Moon being in the 6th house to finish the month with some blood, sweat and tears. Not bad blood, sweat and tears, because we can see here at that last portion of the month into October, which we'll get into next month, some nice stuff again happening financially with some new sources of income. Take a look at what's on view there in astrology.com.au. We've got more detailed information. Get a look at the daily updates and contextualize this with my yearly overview. Still got a few months left of 2017, and I will see you here next month. Look forward to it. Bye-bye now.